It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
All right, lot of buzz on the political front about the special election here in Texas. Democrats are going hog wild. This is it. Here we go. Mm-hmm. But this was a local special election on Saturday to help fill a GOP Senate seat, state Senate seat. Understand?
Yeah, right.
In Tarrant County, where I am. That's where I live. I live in Tarrant County. Mm-hmm. That's in the Fort Worth area, and the Republican lost. Now, there was an election last November, and there were two Republican candidates and one Democrat, and a lot more Republicans came out for that. There was an unbelievable drop of Republicans coming out for this one, and apparently an increase in independents. And so what does this mean? And you're going to hear every single angle. I've already heard every single angle like you can't imagine. On something like this, it's tough in such a small sample in a particular area. I was reading the Wall Street Journal, their lead editorial, a Texas election jolt to the GOP, and their entire thing is this is about illegal immigration and how the Trump administration is handling that. I don't buy that.
No, I don't buy that.
To me, the thing right now that I believe is the thing that makes people respond the most, their personal economics. It is about affordability, just like Virginia. Because when you look at the people that are energized to vote right now, especially the growing independents out there, they don't care. Where do we start here? They don't care who the Fed chair is.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care about Don Lemon.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care about the radical transgender movement. They only care about one thing: prices. That's it.
Yeah.
That's what's... I'm not saying that there aren't other issues, but what's driving people right now, and we have warned the Republicans on it, we've warned this administration on it over and over and over and over again. Was it you I was talking to or somebody else over the weekend where they were like, well, you know, immigration and the economy was a strong point. That's why Donald Trump is president. And I went, I know. But the independent out there that wants to vote, and the Democrats, I mean, the Democrats are just going to vote. They're as radical of a party as you can possibly get right now. We know that.
Yeah.
Did you see the Ezra Klein story? How he was at that liberal college? And Jonathan Turley wrote an article on it. And they just eviscerated him because he's not a radical leftist.
Right.
He got up there, and the college president just said, well, nothing we can do. This is our college. This is what we're about.
Right.
It didn't want to let him speak. Nothing. They're radical. But people in this country right now, more and more every day, are willing to put in a radical candidate if they believe that prices will come down. Why? Because people are concerned about their own self-interest.
Yeah.
I don't look at New York as a barometer for it. I don't necessarily look at this small district in my county as representative of across, the entire population come November. But the warning signs were out there. The warning signs are out there in Virginia. We know what happened in Virginia. They pounded on affordability over and over again. Pounded on affordability. And as soon as they get in, let's tax everything across the board. Let's really go after the middle class and let's hurt the poor the most. We know that's what they've done in Virginia, and it's what they will do when they get in power. But the problem is, and we stated this from day one, when the administration came out with Doge and oversold it, and we said they did, and we got criticized from our own audience. We got lots of criticism on it. They're not going to cut $2 trillion. They're not going to cut $1 trillion. They're not. Stop promising that you're going to give out these massive Doge checks. Just like the tariff checks. Stop it. Last week when the president was in Iowa, he's got all those signs behind him. Lower prices. Don't have those signs behind you.
Yeah.
You haven't done it. Every poll shows you're getting the blame for it now. That's just the reality of politics. The last guy couldn't get it done. They put the new guy in who said, I'll lower prices day one.
Yeah.
Gasoline and eggs aren't enough. It's still hitting everybody. When you and I was going through an article the other day, which was listing all the things that we were talking about, the things that people have to have: car insurance, car repair, homeowners insurance, housing cost, everything up. Food still up, and you can say yes, but we took it from 9% to 3%. They don't care. You think people are listening to the percentages? They don't care. If you want to know how things work, and people who listen to conservative talk radio do want to know how things work, that's why we bring it up. But probably the majority of voters, you tell them, we've taken inflation down from 9% to 3%, and they're like, well, everything's 25 to 30% higher than it was in 2019. Where is it coming down? You're throwing out, you know, the minutia of the statistics that they don't care about. They don't care. I'll say it again. They don't care who the Fed chair is. They don't care how you analyze the percentage of something. They don't care about the Kennedy Center. They don't care about it. They care about what affects them personally. And I do believe that, you know, when they used to say that all politics is local, I think you can make a case that all local politics are becoming national. It's the national issues that still drive so much of it.
It's the common issues, yeah, that drive those election results and the people to also the national elections.
And this administration and the Republican Party have just said, no, we can convince people that prices are coming down. If we just keep telling them how wonderful. By the way, these people don't care what the GDP numbers are.
Well,
what they care about is their situation.
The problem with making a promise you can't keep on bringing prices down.
Yep.
There should have been a premise to begin with. That overcoming inflation and bringing prices down to 2019 levels, that's not going to happen. Bringing inflation rates down to normal levels absolutely will happen. And what we plan to do is broaden the economy and give you greater spending power like we did in our first term. There's your promise, because once you promise you're going to bring prices down, that's a death knell, because you've built up the expectations. And we watched the polls about a year ago right now. that said, you got 6 months. That's what we're going to give you. We'll give you 6 months on the economy. It's completely unrealistic to believe prices are going to go back to 2019 levels, which is why you don't make the unrealistic promise to bring prices down in the first place. It's not a political promise you can make and keep. And again, there are so many things right now. You know, the District 9 state Senate seat in Texas over the weekend, which was a runoff from a special election that happened in November, and then the turnout was a little bit low, certainly low for Republicans. But this is what you get, though. Midterms are lower than general elections. Runoff elections are lower than special elections, and so on and so on. You have to, every single time, you have to run like you're 20, 40, 60 points behind. And, you know, there's a number of things that are going on. You're looking at a district, this District 9, it's been red for the longest time. Is there a demographic shift as a result of people moving in? Well, not since November.
Right. It's been a 31-point swing, 31 points since 14 months ago,
right.
Since 24.
Right. But, again, what drives it? And it could be, again, that it is a snapshot. You have to assume it's a snapshot if you're a Republican in the federal level. If you're part of the party has to assume this is part of what's going on.
Well, because prices are national and local.
Well, and again, the breakdown will come in a matter of days of who turned out, why they turned out, what the appeal was for Taylor Rehmet, former Air Force. There was money that came in for Vote for Vets. There was $500,000 that went into that effort for him. Again, in major metro areas, it's going bluer and bluer. How much of that is a part of it? Over the years, you had, in the runoff election, you had 2 Republicans, and then it got down to, in the special election, you had 2 Republicans, and then it got down to the runoff, which is what we saw over the weekend. And I have a question: did Republicans stay home because they thought it was going to be a clear win over Rehmet? Any of them?
Well, it would have been about a 4,000 or 5,000 when you look at Republican votes back in November. It's about 4,000 or 5,000 more Republican votes,
right? Which
which means it probably would have been like 52-48 or 50 whatever. So
right.
You still would have seen a downturn in it.
Mm-hmm.
But you say to yourself, okay, what's energizing the left? And in Texas, what's energizing the independents?
Mm-hmm.
And, what is an independent today? Well, no matter what the issue is, the one that hits home every single day is prices.
Right. Yeah.
And so we warned the Biden administration, you're taking prices for granted. We've said the same thing to the Trump administration. You're out there throwing all this stuff out. Here's what we're going to do. Here's what you're going to get. They didn't get a DOGE check. There's not going to be a tariff check. Tariff check maybe by the end of the year. Well, your midterms are over at that point.
Yeah.
You're going to get it because the Fed's going to lower. Well, when you see the possible new Fed chair, you may get a couple of, drops maybe in the next year. They expect 1 or 2. But is it going to be down to 1% what the president wants? Of course not.
Well, and you could get the drops if the current Fed chair stayed. Depends on because you're talking about a board that has to vote on that. And the Fed chair, while having influence, doesn't have control over every vote.
And I don't know what the Republicans do now. I cannot tell you what they can do now, because this is something that needed to be done and needed when the administration came in saying, what are we going to do to lower prices? And one of the problems and challenges are, even if you believe tariffs are totally and completely justified, when your goal is to bring prices down and your promise day one, and day one or week one, month one, you put in massive tariffs that actually almost tanked the bond market.
Mm-hmm.
You have to wonder, what is your plan at that point? If you're going to lower prices, you can't do everything. If you're going to lower prices, how are you going to do it? And I don't believe there's time right now. And, man, I hope I'm wrong.
And now more and more thought that there won't be a decision by SCOTUS on tariffs until the end of their session.
Right.
This summer. And I don't know where that goes either way, if the decision comes against the administration or for them. I have no idea what happens after.
We are Red Eye Radio.
Brought to you by FPPF, Fuel Power Max.
It's a common road rumor that it's impossible for one-truck owner-operators and even carriers with just 2 or 3 trucks to get freight direct from the source, the shipper. Yet, hard-won experience from untold numbers of owner-operators with authority disproves the notion. Search your home base area and, later, frequent freight destinations to find all the manufacturers, distributors, and other shippers in the area. Once you get that list, ask yourself if those companies know who you are and what you do. If not, you're leaving opportunities on the table. Strive to own your backyard, to build a solid foundation for the business. For many a small fleet, it's the loads outbound from home that are the bread and butter. But you can take that same approach to the destination area, identifying shippers there and getting on the phone to make sure they know who you are and what you do. Owner-Operator Business 101 is provided by Overdrive's Partners in Business program. Go to overdriveonline.com to the Partners in Business section of the website for more detail on this and many other topics.
Brought to you by Shell Rotella, with advanced synthetic technology is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Coming up on the bottom of the hour, some Republicans out there that, you know, when it comes to affordability and the border, well, things to say about it. Yeah. Both John Kennedy and DeSantis in Florida. We'll get to that. So there it is. Kevin Warsh is the one who Trump has picked to be the new Fed chair. And nobody's upset about it.
Yeah, right.
And I forgot what morning it was when I woke up. Wall Street Journal. Kevin Warsh is the right choice for the Fed. So the Wall Street Journal agreeing with Donald Trump's pick.
It's, again, you know, because you're not going to get, in that seat, you're not going to get anybody that's going to be able to move things much.
Well, the one thing he can do, and this is the one thing, against the Fed buying bonds. What do you call that again? The whole process of doing that. I got mind blank here. The official...
The government buyback program. That's what I call it.
No, we'll get to it coming up.
Yeah.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
We are Rhode Island Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. All right, so I want to, we should read just a couple of sentences from the Wall Street Journal here because they agree with the president on his Fed pick.
QE is what you were thinking of.
Yeah, quantitative easing. Yes, exactly. I have no idea what it's. I'm getting old.
Government buyback program.
Yes, I'm getting old.
Yeah.
Well, one good thing about getting old.
Nothing.
No, I no longer worry about dying young.
Ah, there's that.
Yes. So all right, I stole that. Some comedian said that over the weekend. I saw that.
Yeah.
One of the older guys that's out there, I don't know if he's dry bar comedy, whatever. He's this real old guy out there going.
Oh, yeah, I've seen him.
Yeah, isn't it great?
He's just a series of great one-liners.
Yes, he's the one-liner.
Yeah,
but that's one of my favorites.
I mean, it's so good.
One thing about being this old,
yeah,
I don't worry about dying young anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, wow, one less worry.
Yep.
But Kevin Warsh is the right choice for the Fed. He knows where the central bank has gone wrong and how to fix it. He was former Fed governor from 2006 to 2011, which overlapped with the 2008 financial panic and recession. He's also worked on Wall Street and the White House under George W. Bush. Though he wasn't in charge of the Fed at the time, his experience in a crisis will be invaluable when the next one arrives, and it will. He has deep knowledge of global financial markets and knows most of the global players from Europe to the UK, Japan, and China. More important, Mr. Warsh has been arguably the leading voice in public life for reforming the Fed. He left the Board of Governors in 2011 after then Chairman Ben Bernanke made vast bond buying a permanent part of the Fed policy rather than an emergency resort. Mr. Warsh's critique, which he made public at the time in these pages of the Wall Street Journal, has proven right. The Fed, in its quantitative easing era, has presided first over a historically weak economic expansion, and then in round two, during and after the pandemic, the worst inflation in 50 years. Mr. Warsh is known as an inflation hawk, which makes Mr. Trump's nomination especially notable. Mr. Trump wants lower interest rates, but the paradox to that is the monetary policy is someone with hawkish inflation credentials has more credibility with financial markets and can often find it easier to keep rates lower than the easy money men. As readers know, Mr. Warsh has in recent years offered a searching critique of Fed policy since the financial panic. He has been especially pointed in saying the central bank has taken on a broader role in economic policy than it should. He wrote in April of 2025, in my view, forays far afield for all seasons and all reasons have led to systemic errors in macroeconomic policy. The Fed has acted more as a general purpose agency of government than a narrow central bank. Oh, my gosh, do we agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
The institutional drift, as he put it, has caused the Fed to lose the plot on its essential mandate, which is price stability. The Fed also has wandered into fiscal policy with its bond buying, which has underwritten excessive federal spending and asset purchases that contributed to misallocation of capital. And then he goes on and on and on. He goes, Mr. Warsh will steer the Fed away from all of that. He will aim to reduce the Fed's balance sheet that has ballooned into the trillions of dollars from merely $800 billion when Mr. Warsh first joined the Fed. So, again, printing money to buy your own debt basically is what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Not probably a smart policy that also increases inflation.
Right. You know, and again, it really didn't matter who was going to be in that seat as Fed chair. I think the fact that if it's Trump's pick, Trump will be happier. But ultimately, the Fed's not going to be the target anymore politically. And maybe that takes some of the
well, he did pick Powell.
Back and forth. Well, there is that. But, Powell Because it could be that Warsh gets in and does no more drops, right? But it's just the timing. Because Powell might do one more. There might be one more drop between now and May when Powell's done. Well, then say there is under Powell. Warsh gets in, and then there's no more drops between now and the end of the year. Well, okay. You're back to, chasing your tail again. The point is, there is no real fix in one Fed chair. The fix is in the policy of the United States government through Congress and also what the president is doing on tariffs. If you're talking pricing, that's the fix. That's the great concern. There are a lot of issues with QE. There are a lot of issues, going back to the subprime mess in 2008 and 2009, what was going on there. And
geez.
My gosh, there's so much of a mess, but there isn't a fix in any one move with Fed Chair. It's not going to be an all-new era. They may have a different – a Fed Chair can come in with a totally different take, and that's great and wonderful, and it puts out this, vibe on Wall Street, this read on Wall Street, but they even know. You've got a whole board that you have to influence. And there has to be something going on with the economy one way or the other. If the board doesn't read into it, and I have my issues with the Fed, but if the board doesn't read into that properly, then they're doomed. So they're going to pay attention to what the numbers tell them. Politically, it's really not going to matter to them. Even though it might be, a lot of grief on the Fed chair, the board has to do what the board believes they've got to do what they've got to do.
All right, I did check the futures to see if his pick had any effect for Monday. No. Down 261, the Dow right now.
Yeah, right. There was some earnings stuff that happened on Friday too. That was really throwing it. It's not going to. No. There isn't a magic pill here in this case.
No,
for this move, there never was.
What they're hoping is he'll control QE, which again, when you look at it, as Milton Friedman said, who causes inflation? Long-term inflation, which we had, which lasts for a couple of years.
Right.
Every single time it's the policy of the federal government.
Right. Yeah.
It's not natural competition, none of that.
Nope.
So we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what happens on that. But Tillis has still, said, no, sorry, can't confirm him until we get the Jerome Powell, grand jury stuff done. So I don't know if he's trying to press the president or the Department of Justice to drop the charges. On it. Yeah. That's been really quiet. You've heard nothing since that happened.
Well, there's a ton of head scratching. Like, where do you go with this? Right? How big of a move you want to go? It is a pick your battles thing. Look, if he did something wrong, nobody is above the law, but it is one of those moves politically that is you choose your battle, and during an election year like this year, which will determine the rest of his second and final term, then you're going to have to make the smart moves, and the DOJ is part of that. Oh, I know they're supposed to be autonomous, but no, there is clearly a connection. I know, right? Remember that? Oh, well, no. The AG, that was mostly during the Obama years.
Yeah.
Well, the Department of Justice and the Attorney, they are right. Sure they are.
And the same thing with the Fed.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, okay.
Well,
they may be more autonomous than the Department of Justice.
Well,
but.
I would say the Fed has. I don't know if you might even want to categorize it as plausible deniability in that they've got an excuse and say, well, look, I'm just the chair. The board decided to go this direction with it. I didn't have all the influence here.
But why, when you look at, remember, some of the, as Wall Street Journal pointed out, some of the climate change and woke stuff that they put in.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you look at that. You look at the quantitative easing to begin with.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That became permanent policy.
Right.
To me, that wasn't a financial decision. To me, that was always a political decision.
That's the point I'm making, is that if the Fed board is doing their job, they're looking at the numbers. They're just looking at the economy. But in order to get a big political sway, to make big political moves, you're going to have an entire board. The one position of Fed chair isn't the biggest move or the only move. It may be the biggest move, but it's not the only move in that regard.
Just want to play this. This is Senator Kennedy yesterday talking about the Fox poll showing Democrats have a 14-point advantage on affordability. This was yesterday on Sunday, and also had to do with what happened in Texas in that one local state Senate seat there where a Democrat won a solid red district. And the question on affordability, here's Senator Kennedy.
Well, look, I think that poll was correct. Okay. When moms and dads lie down and sleep at night and they can't, they're not lying there, as the Democrats think, worrying about whether a man can breastfeed. They're worried about the cost of living. They're tired of having to sell blood plasma to go to the grocery store. They're tired of the increases in their housing costs and their insurance. I mean, I could go on and on. And it needs to be addressed, and I've encouraged the president to address it. And it's not enough to tell the American people not to believe their own lying checkbooks.
Mm-hmm. Right there.
Yep, exactly what we've been saying. You can't, it started with us. It starts with, the reports that come out and then the celebration of the reports on inflation or anything else. Those are reports from last month. The American people already know it. But at the end of it, the American people are experiencing this every day. It's every day. Every day. Even if you don't go to the grocery store today, you're going to need groceries tomorrow. It's an ongoing worry. The cost of everything is a massive concern for every parent, for every person.
I'm amazed that you've had two administrations in a row that seem on prices just not to get it.
Right. Yeah.
It boggles my mind, and especially for Republicans after the disaster with the Democrats in every single excuse for inflation possible.
Right. If there ever was a silent majority, prices is a big deal. Everybody feels it. But it doesn't make the viral headlines the way that other things do. And maybe if it did somehow, then, that would be the knock on the door to go, hey, wake up. But if ever there is a silent majority, it is all the individuals battling with prices right now, and they cross both political party lines.
We are Red Eye Radio.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Wow. This was interesting. Came out yesterday. The L.A. Police Department will not enforce California's ban on federal agents wearing masks during immigration operations. Oh. The LAPD chief, Jim McDonald, said the policy makes little sense from a safety standpoint. ABC 7 Los Angeles reported he called the law a poor public policy decision that lacked proper consideration.
Yeah.
We are in line with our federal partners on everything except immigration enforcement, McDonald said. What we've seen since June here in Los Angeles is across the country. We're frustrated, but this does not solve the problem.
Yeah,
Confronting one agency against another
Right.
does not solve the problem.
Exactly.
So they're not going to do it.
Good.
And I wouldn't do it either.
I wouldn't.
It's like,
No. You're compromising the safety of those agents.
Yep.
And you can't do that. You wouldn't want it done with undercover agents in your department. Any officers who are undercover shouldn't be exposed. Mm-hmm. And this is the case. We know these radicals want to dox these agents. We know that.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.